My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Nunas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
I'm Sky.
And this week, we watched a thing. It's available on Netflix, and it's
newly available.
Newly available on Netflix. And it has Henry Lau in it, and we think he's adorable. And that is his foray into Chinese filmmaking. Listen, earlier he made an American movie, now he's making a Chinese movie. He's all over the place. He's an international man of mystery. But that's the movie Double World, which, well,
it's an action-adventure movie.
It's an action-adventure movie based on a Chinese MMORPG.
Mm-hmm. An older one. It's been out for like 15 years. So like it is. Yeah. It's a very popular game in China.
And it had action.
It did.
I'll say that.
I mean, when it opens with a great scene, like the scene of Henry like trying to steal the water and then running away and everything. Like that was a great chase scene. It was
when I first watched that, I was like,
Aladdin.
Yes, that's I was like, aha! So he's our Aladdin character. That's the extent of the Aladdin character that
Henry in this movie literally plays himself. If you know Henry and how he's like the sweetest person to every single thing, that's his character in this movie.
Yep.
Besides
the fighting and the
like, he looked good. You gotta give him that. Like, he looked mighty fine. I will say, like, so it starts out with like the evil baddie being like, oh yes, now we're going to have these games as part of my evil plan to do something. I was never like quite sure how his evil plan was like really gonna work out for him, but like anyway, he had like an evil plan to take over the country or something. So
the games were literally to get people to go fight for him. It was like a competition to fight, to be in the army.
Yeah. But I didn't really understand how his plot would work. But anyway,
because it didn't.
Yeah, it's not important. Literally, the plot of this movie is not important whatsoever. But so he's gonna make 3 warriors from every clan come and fight because they think that a war between like the northern part of whatever fantasy world they're in is gonna start up a war again. But like, yeah. So then Henry, this other dude, and a third dude, okay, decide to go.
Oh, that poor third dude.
Okay, like, what I love about
Here, let's be a little bit more descriptive. Henry, and then pretty much a warrior type deserter dude, and then a random honorable guard of the clan.
The person you knew was never gonna last.
He's gonna die really quickly. And the reason I knew he was gonna die, like, right away, was both of the other two got little, like, backstories with the chief. And then it was just like, and then the third dude was there. And I'm like, oh, he ain't gonna last. And he literally lasted one more scene. Like, he did not make it. Listen, I hope they paid that actor well. He did his job. Good times. He gone.
Before we go further, let's talk a little bit generally about it, and then we can go on to spoilers.
Okay, so then they have to go and fight in this like battle royale, and that's it.
It's really very video game themed, right? Like when that first started up, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like, what was that one from the 90s? That movie based on a video game. I can't remember.
Dragon? Are you talking about Double
Yes.
Dragon?
Just reminded me of that setup, that idea of like, I was like, oh, okay, we're really doing the video game to movie setup of like, and there's a big battle to be the best warrior. Okay, cool. And go.
I think because Double Dragon, that's not so much. I think we're talking about Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yes.
Mortal
That's
Kombat film.
Well,
Mortal
so
Kombat.
here's what's funny is when we picked to watch this movie, I did read at the time that it was based on RPG. Thing is, a couple days later when I watched the movie, I forgot that information completely. So I actually kind of went into it like, I just kind of thought it was an action fantasy movie. I forgot the video game
as.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot the video game thing completely until I watched the whole thing, and then I was kind of forlorn, and I went back to my drama list, and I was like, oh, it's based on an RPG. That explains some things, I suppose. So it gets a couple more points for that.
It's visually fine. Like, it's not the best.
The CGI was pretty good.
The CGI was pretty good in most of the time. There were a few moments where I was like, okay, I probably could have, like, cleaned up those edges, like, a little. But besides that,
I think they were, like, I saw one article, and this movie was really, 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 really expensive. Like, to the point, I think it's, like, the second most expensive movie. So I'm pretty sure they were cutting corners as much as possibly. And possibly it could have been because that's at that point, that's when they realized they couldn't sell it to movie theaters.
Yeah. And I feel like it would be the sort of movie that would actually be fun to go see in a movie theater. Like, it's stupid. I don't think any of us are going to disagree with the fact that this movie is dumb as hell. But I feel like visually speaking, it would have been really fun to, like, just be, like, laughing your way through this movie. Because I love going to see bad movies with friends in theaters.
The best part would be, like, if you go, you know, back in the day when you would go to theaters, whenever that was, the ones that have dinner and alcohol.
Yeah.
Probably work
yes.
really well. With a group of friends and alcohol.
Yeah, and I will say that the movie is shot to be seen on a large screen. There's a lot of like expansive like setup. It's not all from just like really close up on the actors. So that you do lose that being on like a Netflix, computer
and
screen.
And then there's even different terrains. Like, hey, here's the desert, and it was very pretty. Yeah. And then it's not like it was all one forest or something. So I mean, it was.
Must say, the scene in the desert with the incoming sandstorm was very nicely done, and I kind of enjoyed moments of it, but as a whole,
I think if you know going in that you are not getting plot whatsoever, you're going to be more okay. I did go in hoping for plot, and I was really bummed out.
And it's there's a plot, but it's not important as to, like, that's not why you're watching the movie. You know what I mean?
No. It's not very detailed.
If you watched Arthdal and then you're coming to this, don't do that.
No, that's a mistake. Yeah, watch this and then Arthdal if you haven't seen either of them. Then you'll be like, oh, this is better. I actually, at first, since I didn't realize, too, that it was based on a video game until I was about 20 minutes in, and then my brain was like, oh, okay. For a second, I thought it was just, like, a historical fantasy, and I could not figure out, like, I'm like, what era is this supposed to be in? There's, like, elevators, and like, what is this?
What was the thing that made you go, oh, this can't be historical? What is the thing?
Scorpion.
I didn't even know it was gonna be a fantasy. Like, I was just like, okay, it's just like some weird, like, weird like world, and then all of a sudden things happen. I was like, oh, it's this kind of movie.
Like, at first when it starts out, and then all of a sudden there's like this like bear thing that's like eating. I was like, okay, like maybe they have a attack bear. Okay, that's like a thing that happens in historical fantasies. Whatever. And then it's like over in like the poor town where he's stealing water, and I'm like, oh, maybe he's gonna be like the plucky hero that like brings equality to the land. And then there was just like scorpions, and I was like, oh, I get it now. I didn't do any of that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, what we were missing out on is what should have happened when they defeated the scorpions. They should have gotten some little loot bags or something, and then it would have signaled, oh,
yeah,
this is what we're doing.
There we go.
What else can we say generally without being spoilers, and then we can go into spoilers.
I will say that especially with the main like trio or like technically quartet towards the like middle of it, they're great actors. This is not a badly acted show or a movie for the most part. Like there are definitely levels on everyone. You can tell like some of them they were like, okay, we'll not spend money on this actor, but we'll spend money on this actor. But I thought especially that main group, they were just really good and really good together.
Yeah.
They kind of have like a found family thing going on.
Just a touch. Just a touch.
I would say like go into it for that, but they don't. It's so little, and you get so disappointed about like how it ends that like it's not worth it to go into the movie for this, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
When it's good, it's good.
Yeah, another general thing I can say about it is, it was very clear to me, I don't know if y'all ladies will agree with me on this, that the screenwriter or director or someone really doesn't give a shit about female characters. Like, I'm not gonna say why, but...
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because I think the character that had the most interesting backstory was probably one of the female characters.
Well,
really, both of them had very interesting characters and interesting stories, potentially.
I even liked when they were at, they had all the teams that were battling against each other, and there was a group of 3 female warriors, and they had really cool, like...
Yeah, they were the best.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wanted to know all about them, because they were really cool.
I feel like most of this movie, you like just like kind of stray like on the other people or other things. Like something will be over here, and you're like, oh, that seems more interesting than what's going on right now.
Yeah,
cool.
It's like what happens is there'll be these like side characters, okay, that you learn just a snippet, a soupçon of like a detail about them by like someone saying something to them or something, and you're like, oh, I want to know about that. But you don't know about that. You never learn about that. That's not...
Well, and it's not like, well, you're not going to learn about that, so we'll give you this main character thing instead. No, you're just not going to get...
Yeah, it just moves on to the next scene of...
Just didn't want to do anything with it.
I think that this movie was really a failure in screenwriting more than anything. Like... There was a lot of potential there, and it seems like the team that was making it, like the actual production team, was really good, but the script they were given is...
It's kind of like your first kind of like, not draft, but your first kind of rough edit.
Outline. Yeah.
Like a little bit more than an outline of like what you want the story to go in. Kind of like when you do those like the rough edits where... It's like kind of an outline, but like because when you're outlining, you figure out some parts, you just go ahead and throw it in kind of to explain it. And then they just decided, well, good enough. Here.
Yeah.
But despite the fact that it's so expensive, like...
I know.
And
you could have spent a little bit more money on some script development, my dudes.
And it actually, as far as people are saying in articles... It's very popular too, not just the RPG game, but like this movie, I guess, got a lot of views at least. However, they're tracking that. I mean, I don't know China's side what they're watching it on.
Yeah. There's a lot of sites that have been claiming that it's like the number 1 movie to drop on IQIYI in terms of downloads. This movie has the potential to be kind of one of the biggest kind of like video on demand type movies to happen, especially during this like quarantine thing, to kind of really change the way we watch movies.
I think that Jesse and I saw something about it that was like, it's the blockbuster of the summer. Is that what they?
Oh boy!
Oh no, they were probably like pushing this as the end all be all blockbuster of the summer.
But then it's like, then we went. It's COVID summer though, so
yeah, you know what?
So what is our line?
What like in terms of like a regular summer? Hell no. In terms of like when I watched it, did I for the hour and a half I was watching it forget about all the bad shit happening in my life? Yeah. Okay, I did. Sure. It delivered on that front.
And I mean, I'm gonna echo Jesse's. the main actors did
Are quite
really, really
good.
well. And so if you want to go in just to like support Henry, sweet. You just like focus on that and the fact that you get to see him on a big screen and like he does a
Yeah.
good job. Because he does.
And he looks good. Like, he put a lot of effort into looking good. So good for him.
And the other main...
They oiled him up. It was nice. The other main guy, though, like the guy playing the soldier dude, chef's kiss. Wow.
And very good actor.
Very good.
Are we ready for spoilers?
Oh, we ready for...
Yeah,
oh,
let's
let's
go crazy.
do it. So, spoiler alerts, we're gonna go deep into spoilers now. Like the movie, it's hard to talk about generally without talking about spoilers because, like, there's so little plot that, like...
It's one of those things that's like, yes, we're going to talk about spoilers, but it won't ruin the experience.
No.
No, it really won't, because, like, this is a visual film. You're going in it for the visuals. You're not going in it for
as far as what characters perish, that's a thing.
Okay, those, that's actually, yeah.
Yes.
And that's kind of one of the main things to talk about.
Yeah,
So, like,
I think we should
the first dude that dies, I feel like he's not even a spoiler because you know he's gonna die as soon as his character is introduced. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he barely talks anyway. Like, so that's a very
He
big
has, like,
key.
2 lines.
If you don't have any lines and you're supposed to be part of the trio, you're like, yeah, this person's not contracted to.
You're not really a part of the trio. You're a filler until
yeah.
Until the real third person arrives.
Okay, third person.
He didn't get a backstory. If you don't get a backstory, you ain't making it to the competition. I'm sorry. That's just how this works.
Well, to be fair, I mean, the script was bad, so it wouldn't have mattered. Like, there is a world in where that person never would have had a backstory, and they would have just written it and then kept him in. Like, it's like they were actually caring about like structure and the writing.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Well, like, they could have made it slightly less obvious. Just like, you'll do okay, son. Like, just something. But, like, no.
Yeah. When he doesn't talk, that's when you're like really like, no.
Oh, Silent Guard guy. He is not long for this world.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I think all he says is, like, he insults Henry's character, and then he, like, volunteers as tribute, and that's basically it.
He does
That's
have the information about the magic. He tells us about the magic forest, right?
Oh, that's
right
true.
Before he dies.
Oh, yeah. You have to have that person.
Gives us that,
Yeah. I
So,
still don't
thanks,
really
dude.
understand how any of that fit into the plot, but, like, fine.
Whatever.
Literally, it didn't matter. None of this mattered.
No.
So, then we get introduced to our true third person.
Yeah, who's this spunky, cute girl.
I loved. She was my favorite
great.
character.
She was
good.
clearly more competent than Henry. Like, everyone in this movie is more competent than Henry. I don't know how he even survived. Because he's the
fight. Endearing. That was the whole thing. Because he was a nice guy. That was like literally his journey. Because
they were given a horse when they were just two people in their group. They were given a horse as a reward for like helping a guy, and they didn't let Henry on the horse, and he was kind of like whining about that, and he's like, and then they said a Chinese word, and so I went and looked up the word because I was curious, like, your whatever's really imbalanced, you're gonna be okay. So I went and checked it out, and it was like one of those, is like his life force stuff was it. Yeah. So he was trying to say about that character, like, no, like, you're all in balance and nice and stuff. You're fine. You can just keep walking.
You don't need the horse. You don't need the horse. So that was like the lizard clan or something was the one who gave them the horse for...
I think so, yeah.
And they had like a little bit of a story arc, like one of the dudes anyway. He, had an actual like villain to hero journey throughout the... Like, he was the only one with, like, a story arc, but it took place in, like, 3 scenes, so it's, like, really compressed, where he goes from, like, cutting off his own bro's leg to, like, helping lead an insurrection by the end of it, but you only see him, like, 4 times, and you're like, why did this guy help him?
The girl
was great.
Really cool.
So good.
Very, very talented. She clearly
Large
has
sword.
skills. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so after we first see her fight, I was sure. I was like, okay, so they're gonna form a trio. It's gonna be them three. The older guy's gonna die, and I figured that Henry was like the son of the king, and we knew that the plan was that they were gonna try and wipe out the whole royal family or whatever. So I figured, okay, so the end game here is that she's gonna win the contest and be the, Grand Marshal or whatever, and Henry's gonna be the new king, and the other guy's gonna be dead. And I was like, that's obviously where this is going. But I was wrong.
Unfortunately for us, we did not take misogyny into account with our how this was going to go.
That warrior guy, he was definitely set up. You really thought that he was not going to last until the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah, because he was also set up as his, older brother, in stories, it's very common if you have a setup where there is, the younger brother, older brother, the older brother always dies. That's how it is. Sure. It's kind of the mentor, but, also, has an emotional tie to the other character. By default, that person's gonna die, and then, that other person's gonna have to, carry on with the words of wisdom that he got from the past. Yeah. For sure. Done.
We're taking into account that the older brother character already had an older brother that died and giving him words of wisdom as he went. We forgot about that element.
Yeah, right. But also the fact that the warrior character guy, he also was all about revenge for the brother and all this stuff. So I was like, he's going to get his revenge, and then he's going to, sacrifice himself for Henry's character, and that's just going to be the way it's gonna be.
I thought it was possible at one point that, when the slave girl got introduced, that maybe he was going to, take her north or something.
Yes!
How they
that's what I thought was going to happen.
He was
going to redeem himself that way. No, this movie, I will say this, it did play with our expectations because nothing we expected to happen happened.
Not in a good way.
Yeah, in a confusing way.
We can talk about Slave Girl. So she gets
okay. The Slave Girl was my favorite character. I thought she was awesome. So she's this slave girl who is forced to fight, and they accidentally end up buying her because
options are really awkward, I guess. I'm not sure how
they just stretched, and they're like, she's yours, and he's like, what? But then it turns out that she was the daughter of the general from the northern country that the main dude's older brother had killed in battle, and she witnessed it, and she's been vowing revenge her entire life, but that didn't last very long.
You want to know what I just realized? The fact that I just realized this is pretty sad. Why on earth was there a girl on the battlefield?
It doesn't make why was she hanging out it should be?
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that until now.
It feels like a war crime situation, if you ask me. They were attacking a village.
Yeah, she was super young. It's not like she was this young warrior girl.
It's not like that. It's weird that there's a female one.
She was a kid.
But there weren't other kids around.
Yeah, it wasn't women and children and everything. It was warriors and this girl.
Well, doesn't matter because we didn't get much out of her anyway.
You needed to set up why she hates this guy. Except that it wasn't him who did it. It was his brother who's now dead. So technically, her revenge has been thwarted.
But she thought about it and changed her views on life and all types of stuff.
Because the girl gave her half of a, whatever fruit that was.
It's a vegetable.
It's whatever vegetable it was. I don't know what it was. It was a vegetable.
I could have had more of them together. That could have been a great little duo.
But she was awesome. She was killer.
She went and released the other slaves. She did all types of stuff.
She had the most plot of anyone in the whole movie. She was a slave fighter, then she was free and vowed revenge, then she decided to forgive the man that she vowed revenge on because she didn't want to be caught up in the endless cycle of violence. Then she went and released all of her slave brethren and didn't kill the slaver. She even let the slaver go.
And they showed her like origin story like on the battlegrounds like twice. Like she got a lot of time on this.
Only, spoiler alert, for her to get eaten by the bear thing for some reason.
No, but first they had to rip off her arm because that was necessary.
Yeah.
Yep.
She goes from being like pretty much like she was the most badass fighter, right? Like I'm not crazy here. She had the most.
She was definitely
skill.
competent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just getting her arm ripped off by a bear and then chomped. Chomp chomp. She gone. Speaking of the other best fighter on the field, the girl fighter who is part of their trio. Who you're like, oh, I think her and Henry are maybe gonna do a little.
I was even thinking just simply like I just like their little family unit.
Anything. Like, but if we're thinking of like traditional movies, her and Henry would have had a little something. No, they just
She's
a
little too young. I think they even made her like even younger than what the actress was playing her. So,
but like they just straight up murdered her.
Okay, and here's the thing.
She took out a few of them with her though.
She
like,
took down a few of the people, and also the older brother guy was there too, and he was definitely so much worse off than she was, and then she just died. I was like,
yeah.
She was sitting there and like, well, definitely that older brother's gonna die now because he's definitely been just beaten to a pulp, and she's just like, she's gonna have some like issues. Maybe she'll like spend the rest of the movie like limping. No, she just died.
She just like Henry shows up and he's like, what the fuck happened? And then she's like, I'm dead. And then
I thought for sure at that point, because we've already been getting this like hint that there's something not quite normal about Henry's character, and he's, I thought for sure at that moment it was going to turn out he had like healing powers or something.
Especially the close up of his tears falling on her skin. I was like, I was waiting.
No, he just got a magical tattoo. That's the extent of his magic. Oh, right, he has a magical tattoo. I forgot about that.
Also, there's another female that like could have explored more because she was pretty cool too. The mom.
Yeah, the mom. Oh, and there's also the 3 female warriors. They were hella cool. Now they just got killed by some fucking plants.
Plants.
Suddenly,
then there was that random woman in the blue cape. Who the fuck was that?
I think that was supposed to be his mom.
That's
right?
Mom.
Was it?
Yeah.
She
That's
rose
what
from
I
the
thought.
dead to be a ghost. Okay.
You get to the end of this and you're like, okay, there's lots of great female characters in this.
Guess how many lived to the end? Yeah, no, there was like a lot of really cool female characters.
And they were like, nope, can't have that. Nope, can't have that. Nope.
Yeah, so the way it went in the story though, so the first one to pass was the girl warrior person. And I was pretty messed up with that because she was a young character. Like, I was not expecting that.
No.
Then I was like, okay, my first thing I wanted was just to keep seeing the little band of 3 people be familial and, like, do things. Okay, well, you just took that away, obviously. So, I'm gonna hang my hat on the slave girl. Then, a handful of scenes later, they took her away, and I'm like, well, this sucks. Like, I don't know what to do.
What do I have left now? Thanks, movie.
Like, to be honest, the 3 female warriors, so there was 3 trials, right? And they won the first one. Like, they were amazing in the first one. So I thought they were at least not going to be at least the first ones to die in the second one. No, they got eaten by plants. They got straight up ganked by some vines, man.
It's like they can't, they're they get to the female characters to a good point when they're like, crap, we made them too good. Kill them all.
Yeah.
It's almost like script was written initially by a woman and she wrote really great female characters, and then they put a new writer in or something, was like, oh, no, they're not the heroes. We can't make the ladies the heroes.
Or maybe they outsourced those characters, hey, someone write us female characters because we don't know how to.
Yeah.
And they didn't
their
tell
life.
tell the writer, like, we're totally gonna off all of these people. And it's like, and the snippets that you got, you're like, yes, like, I want to know more, like, give me more. And then it was just like, nah.
Because
No.
I didn't need necessarily even a romance between the warrior guy and the slave girl, but like the redemption thing with him, like there was all types of stuff that was gonna happen, and they just
That was the best plot line of the whole thing, was like her coming to realize that revenge was not the answer, because they were both prisoners of the system that they were within, that neither of them could control. That's the deepest the movie got. And it was barely there. You had to search for it.
I'm sure the slave girl was going to come back with her bow and arrow and rescue the two of them.
Right.
When the girl died, and they were having their big fight, and it was like, oh no, now they're both down. And I was like, but the slave girl was just right there. They were just, she has to have heard this, and she's good. Like, she's gonna, nope, she doesn't show up.
Well, what's even the point of making her a good fighter if they didn't let her do something like
Yeah, like, might as well just made her Pathfinder.
Like, she could have...
Why even include that scene? Just have him accidentally buy a slave. Like, you don't even have to have the whole fighting pit situation. Like,
she could still even just release the other slaves, even without being able to fight. She could have done all of that without being able to fight.
She was awesome, though. That actress, like, I gotta check out more that she's done, because she was really good.
For sure. I kept thinking, I feel like probably if I was Chinese, I would know who this was. Like, she's that level of actress, right? Like, it's not she didn't feel like a low-level actress.
No. She felt a little too good for the movie. You know what I mean?
That role.
Yeah.
What they did with it anyway.
Okay, I just looked her up. She was in Legend of the Naga Pearls, which I know was a very popular film when it came out. Her name is Lucia Yang. She was in Ip Man.
Oh.
She was in God of War. So she's in a lot of stuff. I believe that she is in a lot of, like, action-y stuff, so I think she must have, like, martial arts background.
But, like, okay, they paid for a really good actress who has a martial arts background.
The girl is 15. Like, the actress is 15.
Oh, okay.
And she did a really good job.
Lin Chen Han.
She
hasn't been in very much, too.
Yeah, the other woman is 34, so she's just killing it.
A lot of these types of action movies, you have to give some leeway to, like, some level of misogyny, like, oh, you just killed most of the female characters. Like, you're used to that. You're not used to, like, all of them.
All of them. Not a single female survived this film. Not a one.
Well, most of them died to further a man's plot line. Henry's mom had to die so that he could be the outcast kid and have a, checkered past or whatever. And then the girl had to die so that they would fight harder. And, like, it just... Ugh.
We're done with this plot, people. By the way, just as a side note on that actress, she's actually a national Chinese champion in wushu.
Oh, wow.
So, she's a level A martial arts referee and a senior trainer in the self-defense program for women.
Hey.
Board member of the Wushu Association of the Beijing Sports University, so...
The male is a Taiwanese American singer and actor.
Well.
He, like, basically, it looks like he basically did the exact same thing Henry did. Except, like, didn't go to Korea. And didn't make that step. But he went to Japan to debut.
I wonder if during filming they would, like, get out their guitars and sing together and stuff. Now I'm going to imagine that to make myself feel better about the movie.
I think there was, like, Canada. Like, this running joke that they were probably both gonna, like, start their own, like, band, Like, that's probably what they were like, we're gonna start our own band and just, sit here and play.
We kind of didn't even talk about Henry's character and how Henry's character is indeed the son of, like, the dethroned king of the Northern Kingdom.
I mean, of course he was, because he had a whole, like, birth secret plot, and you're like, well, obviously.
Yeah, he's
gotta be big.
Yeah.
Go big or go home, really.
And it's like, and then they're giving you these snippets of really interesting plot that you don't get. Like, for example, when he's fighting, like, the dude who's from the north, who's been masquerading as, like, a southern, like, guard or something, and he's and Henry stabs him, but then like his magic tattoo is revealed, and the guy's like, "Your Excellency," and then he dies, possibly in the funniest position I've ever seen. He just dies in literally a bow. And then it's like, I want to know more about that guy. That guy seems like he has an interesting backstory.
I also want to talk about did they call it a pagoda? No. So the big building that like all of these battles were held at or whatever, the main bad guy had taken so many years to like construct. And so then at the end, this oil was like gushing forth in waterfalls everywhere so that he could torch the whole thing.
Well, he just takes off on a friggin' glider. Okay,
that glider.
I was losing my mind laughing at that part, by the way. Like, it was just like, okay, so he's just gonna, like, glide his way out of town? Like, this, like, middle-aged dude is like, okay, now I'm gonna, like, glider and, like, woo! Like, what are you doing, plot?
Yeah, it would have made more sense had that character been a bit younger, but it's like, he's an older guy.
In his late 50s, at least. And I'm just, like, looking at this guy like, really, buddy? Like, you just, that's what we gonna do right now,
And then in order for Henry's character to stop him, he, of course, launches himself onto the hang glider and hangs on for a really long time on the side of the wing. And so in the end, the two main guys do survive. But they have this like little conversation, and as far as the way I interpreted it, I think it should have been something like, "Oh, we're gonna be enemies, haha, not really, we're really buddies." It wasn't anything like that. The warrior guy was dead serious and like, "No, if I see you again, I'm probably gonna kill you." I was like, why did we do anything together?
Wasn't there like a whole story about like you being a good I don't.
Because usually, you know, a character would say that, you know, the more tsundere character would say that, and then it'd be like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, or something.
Yeah.
There was no winking and nudging.
There'd be like a little like cracked smile at it. No.
And it's so weird because like Henry,
like, yeah, that makes sense.
well, like, but Henry's character literally is set up that they keep on showing how good of a human he is. Like the part where he's going to like help the dragon after it's coming after him, and it's a point, and they even like mention it at one point. I think the mom even says like it's because of your good nature and your compassionate empathy for others, blah 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 blah. That was supposed to be the driving force of this film, was about like compassionate empathy and like, you know, that sort of thing. Like it's supposed to be about like being good to other people, but to do that just kind of negates everything.
There was one scene with Henry that I thought was quite funny, is when Henry's trying to stop him from murdering the dude in front of like the audience after they like win second place at the first trial, and the guy's gripping his hand so hard that like Henry's crying, and then like the evil dude's like, "Ah yes, tears of victory, I do understand." I was like, oh boy. And I just wanted more of that sort of stuff, but we did not.
Henry and the bad guy, their scenes were really good. Like at the end when they were gonna kill off the older bro, and he's like, no, just kill him. And Henry's like, no, the two of us are supposed to fight for you know, whatever glory.
Like, and if we just kill him, that means that you and I are on the
equal
level.
Yeah. Like, go fight him. I don't want you to be my equal. Like, it was, I don't know, that was a good scene too. I liked that one. There should have been more in the bad guy scenes.
I don't understand. Okay, like I both understand, but also think it was really dumb in plot wise. So if this guy wants to take over the government, right? That's like the evil man's main plot, okay? And so his plot is to create these games that he's going to like use to like pit all of the unified clans against each other, but they have to do it. So it's not like they can opt out. They wouldn't be on his side to begin with, but then when they lose, they get like branded as losers, but all of them do, so it's like they would all be unified in hating him, not so much in hating each other.
But I think the idea was that because they've been branded losers, they can't go back to, like, they can't go back to their own tribes and lead them as warriors anymore because they're losers now. So now they wouldn't be able to raise up their individual groups of armies.
Male fragility at its finest in that plot line.
What I'm going to assume is that's the basis of the game, and they just desperately wanted that to be in this movie. I didn't actually read the gameplay or anything, but if I were to guess, you probably can pick, like, the clan that you want to be.
Yeah.
And so they were forcing the gameplay aspect of this game into the storyline, but weren't good enough to incorporate it, so then it just became this weird, like, thing, but they were still trying to force this thing about the game into the movie.
Oh, I want to say something about the little tournament thing. So, all the clans get told, hey, you got to come to this tournament with your 3 people and your little clan
token or whatever, yeah.
And if you don't do it by such and such time, we're just going to annihilate your entire clan. I'm like, that's a little severe.
Right?
If you don't come play this game, we're going to wipe out all of you. It's like, well, that's
like, everybody kind of, like, nonchalantly, like, oh, okay, sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, like, there wasn't more, like, unrest about this. Like, there wasn't more like, well, this seems sus. Like, and it's like the guy was so obviously evil. Like, he wasn't a very good villain. One, because his plan didn't really make sense. There were too many moving parts for it to be, like, a cohesive plan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But also, it was really obviously a plan. You know?
Yeah.
Like...
Well,
everyone, all of the government should have been like, this dude is pulling for bullshit right now.
It's like, how did you guys become, like, different kingdoms, like, already? Like, this should be, like level 101 about, like, forming kingdoms that, like, this is, like, not a good thing, and it's, like, suspicious, and maybe you shouldn't go into it.
Yeah. It's like, why is the king just like, yeah, man, like, this tournament seems like a really great idea. Yeah, let's just threaten to annihilate all the people that make up my kingdom. What a great idea if they don't come play this game. Like, no. Like, there should have been, like, one advisor who was like, you know, it seems like bullshit to me. I don't know about you guys.
When the big trap with the oil and all that stuff starts happening, my son is like, he spent, like a decade building this and setting this all up. Like, I feel like he could have just killed the king.
Yeah,
like,
he could have just stabbed him, right? And, like, blamed it on, like, a northern insurgent if he wanted to start the war again. Like, literally blamed it on any one of the clans. Literally, just any one of them. Just been like, this clan murdered the king. Like, this is a lot of work for not a lot of payoff. And for his only escape plan to be a friggin', like, glider, like, dude.
That's the thing. Maybe his one thing on his bucket list, his 2 things on his bucket list, were to overthrow the king, but that was secondary. The main one was to go hang gliding. But he
grand way.
What we're all missing is that he's just a huge drama queen. He wants to kill the king, but he has to do it in the most iconic way possible. By burning it all to the ground, using a 10-year illustrious plan of building an elaborate castle that's all just a trap. And he's the only one that gets to ride that fancy elevator dramatically, like, arms out, like, yes, my elevator to the skies.
His, like, falcons or whoever to go deliver messages.
His messenger falcons, that's right.
Yeah. So, we didn't talk about the dragon very much.
Oh, yes, the dragon.
The main thing, like, the easiest way to point to Henry's character being a really nice guy with a little trademark at the end, nice guy, was...
Nice dude. Good bro.
There was this, and they never called it a dragon. It was a dragon, though.
Yeah, it was a dragon.
Yeah, it was a dragon.
War beast that had been created as, like, the last war, and then for some reason they put this awful crown on its head and banished it somewhere. Well, the quest is to go steal its egg, because that sounds like a great idea, just all around.
It's such an original idea, too, in a fantasy, with a dragon.
Steal an egg from a dragon? How groundbreaking.
So there was stuff that happened, but now there was one surprising thing. Of course, the warrior guy sniffs a flower that's a poisonous flower. And then, so he's sick and about to die. So they have to find orange moss somewhere. But they're too busy finding the dragon and running away from the dragon to, pay any mind to that, really. But finally, whenever the dragon gets pinned somewhere, it's like, oh, there's orange moss on his crown thing. This is very convenient.
Yes.
So then they steal that to heal their buddy. And then Henry's like, no. Wait. We have to take his crown off because I'm a nice guy.
We gotta help this dragon out.
And I must admit, that was some visceral looking CGI going on for that scene. I was like, ew, that actually does look quite painful. Ew.
Yeah. So then the dragon
into its head. Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's wearing a pretty crown. It was like spiked into the thing's head.
Yeah.
It was nasty.
Of course it was grouchy, because I would be
Yeah.
too.
All of us would be. Come on.
Yeah.
And now people are stealing my egg, so I'm really not pleased. So then, once they removed the crown, though, Henry decided he wanted to talk to the dragon, because the dragon obviously understands fantasy ancient Chinese, because that's just the way it works.
Yeah, it's easy. It's just like very convenient that everybody speaks the same language in this.
Yeah. Dialect differences, really. I will say about language, I was surprised that they didn't dub over anybody. I didn't see any dubbing.
Yeah.
No, the only dubbing they did was obviously because the audio was not good during when they filmed it.
During the action, some of the action scenes and stuff like that. But
but it wasn't. It was like
standard.
a normal. That's standard when you don't get the right audio.
Because definitely going into it, I was like, am I going into a dubbed Henry movie? Because it very easily. And then if the other warrior guy was Taiwanese as well, I'm just surprised because they're so picky about pronunciation with stuff. So that's kind of cool.
I suppose they have a bit more of a leeway with a film because it doesn't go through the same censorship situation as it still goes through a censorship thing, but it's not the same as television. So I feel like the impetus for having perfection on dialect would be less obvious, especially in a fantasy situation.
Yeah, I kind of also just assumed it was more of the audience. So a movie would not bring in the same amount of diverse audience as a drama would, because everybody would be able to access a drama before they would be a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But that also doesn't actually matter in dramas either. So it's whatever they want to do, I guess. It probably is if they want to they'll pay for audio to be on set. That probably is the default.
Being that it was based on a video game movies in general usually aren't that great.
Yeah. Because I feel with a lot of video game movies, there's a potential in a lot of video games to make really good movies, but you have to stray from what the basic plot of the video game is, because usually video games, they're not really, especially RPG style, this style of game, it's like a fighting game, right?
RPG definitely is where you're gonna be able to make a movie out of a thing, because there is stories. That is a common thing in RPGs to actually have stories. It just depends on the RPG itself if it has a lot of in-game story. If you're talking about a Final Fantasy, where already you have an entire movie on just your non-gameplay parts.
Yeah, exactly. So that works. Whereas if it's more action-based as versus plot-based, you're gonna have to add lots of elements. And I feel a lot of of these movies just don't add any of the elements, or some of them just do a really bad job adding the elements. I'm thinking now have any of you ever seen the Dungeons and Dragons movie from back in the 90s, I think?
No.
Oh boy! There was a hot mess of a film, and it's that didn't even make sense that it was a hot mess of a film, because literally Dungeons and Dragons doesn't have a plot. You can make up any plot you want. It didn't have to be bad. But it was. And then you're looking at stuff like the Mortal Kombat movies. Why? Just that's all I have to say about that. Just why? And then we look at Double Dragon. Now, I recently watched Double Dragons because for some reason, when I was staying at my coworker's house, her husband wanted to introduce Double Dragon to his son because he had loved it when he was a kid, and he thought his son might like it. We, like, peed ourselves laughing through this whole film because it was so terrible. And we just think, like, who this is marketed to was, like, 12-year-old boys, right? Like, this sort of movie. So it's like, if you think about it, like, when you were 12, you would have probably really enjoyed this a lot more than we as adults are enjoying these sorts of movies, because you're like, things go pow, woo. If your game doesn't have a lot of plot, you're going to have to add some plot. You can't just present present the no
You're like,
plot
okay,
on a
in this
platter,
quest
like,
in your RPG,
here
you have to take the dragon's egg.
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
someone gets hurt, and you need to give them moss.
Like, you gotta make it make sense, my dudes. Like,
I did think about at one point, you know, we were saying, Sky had said earlier how, like, with the scorpions, if, like, loot bags had dropped, it would have been more obvious. But I'm thinking about it, and the, like, older guy ripped off one of the, like, the tails or something and stuck it in his backpack. Like, he took the loot from the kill.
True.
That's
True. He did.
It never came up.
Like, it seems like it's definitely something they were going to do as a fun little, like, you know, Easter
Nod
egg or
to
nod
the-
to the thing, and then forgot that they were doing it. So,
Yeah.
It's like they forgot a lot of things.
yeah. It's like they wrote, you know how you do, like, stream of consciousness writing, but then you don't go back.
Aside from all of the female characters being offed, what was heartbreaking was just the lack of character arc
for
anybody.
except for the female characters that all died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would say for the lack of character development and character arcs and plots, there's also a lack of action, too. Like, there's not enough action in this film to
like balance it.
Because usually you're like, okay, I can see where your priorities like, because there are some movies where you can just see that's what they're supposed to be, and that's fine. It's a
Right.
fine and standard tool in writing. If your movie is about action and that's what you focus on, that's an actually acceptable thing to do in your medium. But I don't think this accomplished that. Like, there were times I was bored.
It's like that. The first trial, I was expecting that to go on for twice as long as it did. Like, there was some fun possibilities for lots of fun action there. Like, they weren't even fighting each other. Like, the teams, they were just running across some chains. And at no point during this do the teams have to actually fight each other in this battle royale. They're never battling in a royale fashion. It makes no sense.
Henry did good.
Henry did good, though. Yeah.
I hope it's a stepping stone for him, because that's a big deal. So.
He's popular. He's really popular.
Yeah.
So.
And now him and that other guy need to make a band.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to happen.
Yeah, they should have been both on the OST. What do you had both of them?
They need to have a duet. Some sad song about their little sister that died. Would be the funniest thing.
It's not funny, but it's funny, you know?
I can just see the FMVs that come up.
Every time, as, like, a female movie lover, when I think that we, as, like, a film-making world, has gone beyond the need to just kill off female characters for man pain, they just come back to just remind us that most screenwriters see women as expendable tools to further a man's plot.
What's interesting about the slave girl death, though, I don't really see how her death did anything for
necessary.
anybody.
It didn't do anything for anyone.
It's not like
just to kill her off.
They could have had a romance later on, or even just a comradeship. They hadn't even established that yet, though. So, like,
Like, we need more action and deaths. Here.
If she lived, she could have been the one who, like, the movie ends with Henry heading off north to go take back his country or whatever, his crown.
Yeah, he needs a guide.
Never been there before. Like, she has. That would have been a useful.
Oh, we haven't discussed the Mystic Forest, guys.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Let's just call this, like, the red herring of the whole movie, because it's stupid. They could have given them this information in literally any other way. Literally any other way. I can think of so many more interesting ways that this, like, if they were actually battling each other, okay, and then Henry gets cut, and then just goes to wipe away the blood, and all of a sudden his magical tattoo appears, and then you can be like, oh shit, like that would have been a better reveal than, follow your ghost mother.
Right?
We're going to follow your ghost mother to a mystical forest that we don't explain how there's a mystical forest in the middle of this desert city, but that doesn't matter. We're going to follow her into Mystic Forest, and then we will reveal...
The thing is, they built this up a lot over the course of the movie. Mystic Forest, Mystic Forest. Oh, it's, that's a fable, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he keeps asking about it, and you're like, this better be good.
Yeah, so they build it up, and it's always like, oh, you go there, and all of your questions are answered. You will then just know the secrets of the world, pretty much. They go and, like, they get, like, 2 bits of information.
But, like, he also gets the information, he's like, no, that can't be true. And then you're like, then why are we here? If you're not going to listen to it, why are we here?
Yeah,
why do you
care? Why did you want to come so bad, Henry? Come on, dude.
You wanted the answers, and then she gave it to me, and you're like, nah, that can't be.
But it was kind of funny, because really the information came from her, and she easily could have just told them not in the Mystic Forest. It's not like the forest
just told them right there, like, hey, it's me, your ghost mom. I am the Mystic Forest. Surprise, it's just me. It's just my code name or some bullshit. Like, no, they made no sense.
So they had to go somewhere that had cool floating rocks, and then she just said a couple things. And no, they don't really know anything else other than that. It was just really useless.
That was the thing my son mentioned, and that it didn't occur to me at the moment, but he was like, the girl didn't get anything. She's in the forest too.
She didn't have known. We should have known she was about to die, because in the beginning, the guy didn't get anything, and he just ganked.
Earlier on, when Mystic Forest was being discussed, and Henry's all like, Mystic Forest, and she goes, I don't care about my past, I just care about my future. Like, she said that. She didn't want to know anything. So, like, to me, it wasn't a dead giveaway. That's what made it worse about her dying, because she was just all about her bright future that she was going to have. Dagnabbit. But hey, she got a big old statue, so that was like them trying to be better, but it didn't work at all.
Yeah, why? And how'd they build it so quickly? Like,
she was just so cute and great.
She was so awesome. So they save the king, the Southern King. Let me be specific, because it's probably getting confusing. Then, I grant you whatever you want. Oh, well, can you, like, erect a statue for this girl? And then Henry's character is like, hey, can I go return the egg to the dragon? And then we don't see that.
We just assume it happened. It happened.
I guess thanks that they brought it back up. They, like, mentioned it, and you're like, oh, yeah. I guess there's a follow-up on that story.
That was, like, the one thing that followed through, the Mystic Forest and the dragon egg.
The thing for me, when he's, like, looking at Henry, and he's, he's looking at Henry, and Henry's supposedly the Northern King, and he's like, what can I grant you? And peace between our kingdoms. Help me go take my kingdom back. Like, a million things that you could ask for here.
Yeah, I wanted him to say something like, hey, can we be, like, best buddies so then I can go take my kingdom back and everything will be good? Like, I wanted something political at that point. It made sense. To circle it back, at the very, very end, you see the main 2 guys, and then evidently, I mean, I knew it was him, but I guess him not having facial hair was kind of...
No, it was only, like 3 seconds, and I was like, who the hell's this guy? And then I was like, oh, it's him without a beard.
Yeah.
It was literally just like 3 seconds of me being confused and being like, oh wait, I know that voice. Okay.
Just
Never
him.
mind. Never mind. It was like when the Beast turns into the Prince, and you're like, wait, what? Put the hair back on. Put the hair back on. I liked it better.
Now I'm picturing that. That's really funny. But
I had a great time. Okay. Was it bad? Yes. Did I have a great time watching how bad it was? Also, yes. So.
I didn't hate it, but I definitely wish I could have used my 2 hours elsewhere.
it is an ideal background movie if you are doing something else.
And you can actually do that despite knowing a single bit of Chinese. So there's that.
You could
do it.
You could keep the subtitles off
And
be fine.
Relatively okay.
Let's be honest, we ain't watching this film for the plot.
I mean,
There is none.
I
wasn't. Like, as soon as
I didn't go into
this
this movie thinking, oh, they're definitely not going to do a plot.
No, as soon, I thought, same. But, like, as soon as I was, like, 15 minutes in, I was like, okay.
Well, yeah, but at that point, I was continue watching it because I had to do it for this episode. Like, I would have just dropped it. Like, I wouldn't have kept on.
Yeah, I enjoy stuff like this. I enjoy dumb things.
See, I'm particular because, to me, there's stuff out there like Princess Bride, to where it's ridiculous, but there's plot.
I also think you can do stuff that doesn't have a plot, and that's fun. Like, fun.
Yeah.
But for me, this movie was not that.
No.
I agree that it didn't fill all the holes, all the boring holes with enough action to, like, justify the lack of plot.
It had too much storytelling time, but didn't actually tell a story in that time.
That's true.
It gave the time. It just decided not to use it.
It ceded its time on the floor.
Yeah. It's like, let's talk about something else, guys.
Anyway, I thought it was stupid but fun. Like, I had fun watching it. I'm like, this is stupid. This is stupid. But, like, you know, that doesn't bother me as much as it bothers a lot of other people. Like, I can sit there and watch bad stuff, and you all know this. Like, I watch bad stuff. I am a huge Riverdale fan, if you're wondering how bad of the stuff I enjoy is. So.
That's the thing. I could watch Riverdale at it being terrible and not good plot, and that seems like it's a fun experience. This just was too boring to be a fun experience. Also, I didn't hate it. It's not like I hated that I had to do it.
Even if they had given more charming moments between the characters to where give the actors more time to act because they were good actors, that would have been good. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, you can watch it on Netflix and IQ, whatever that app is. IQ,
whatever it is in China. I don't know what platform it's on.
Henry looks great. The acting's actually pretty good. The CGI is pretty good. There's no plot to speak of. Well, there is, but it's stupid. There's an air glider, so look out for that.
Enjoy your female characters while you have them.
While they last.
Savor the time, the little that you get with them.
Snippet.
Attached.
Don't get too attached, yeah. Being a female viewer of stuff like that, when they just stuff a female character in a refrigerator like that, it's like, why?
Yeah, it's always so disappointing.
Yeah.
It's always, like, so I was, like, pretty disappointed when they killed off the girl. I was like, oh, that sucks. I'm like, but she didn't really have, like, too much of a backstory or anything, so I'm like, okay, whatever. But then when they killed off the slave girl, I was like, bullshit. This is on purpose now. Now it's personal. How about we just kill off some male characters?
Yeah.
To further female plot lines, huh? Who's with me? Equality.
They had enough male characters that they could have, like, offed some and be fine. Like, you could have offed several. Yeah. You had options.
A lot of them. Ugh.
Even if you think about, like, the court around the king, there really weren't females there either.
Nope.
I guess all the little slaves, they were all females. But,
That's true.
There just were not that many female people. I guess market people. We saw some other market.
I guess it's just always weird when that's the case, and then you see the characters that we were presented with and be like, but how did they become a thing? Like, in this world, females it doesn't matter, but how are we constantly like being shown characters that are really good fighters and they're females? How did they get to that point? They had to train. It's not like in this movie that like it's established that just people are born warriors and you don't have to train at all. Like, so how did the other female characters from the other clan like get to be where they were that day?
I think for me, like, that was one of the things that was disappointing about it, was that in the, like, sort of the first half of it, I was thinking, wow, I really love that, like, the female characters have equality in this. Like, there's a female team and there's female members, and like female fighters are okay and not questioned, and I love the equality. And then it was like, oh, it was fake equality. Okay, cool.
It was fake. Yeah. It was fake. It was all a sham.
That is why it hurt more, because it wasn't like, oh, these are just window dressing characters, because they were skilled, because they were kind of treated as equals on some level.
And also, they were the most skilled. It wasn't like they were like medium of the line. Like, no, like the all-female team was like easily the most skilled of all the teams. The girl character on their team was like way better than Henry at everything, and she was like.
And written that way, so then why didn't it translate later?
Like, not by accident. Don't give it to us and then rip it away. You know, just don't start out with that.
Yeah, we might as well have not had female characters, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. I mean, I guess representation is good, so maybe it's better to have them and then have them taken away. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, this has been another episode of Certified Nunas. You can listen to us wherever you listen to us now, but if you want to mix it up, we are on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube, and of course, all of our episodes are on our website, certifiednunas.com, which is also our blog where we put interesting things, including a new project that I have coming up. If you attended our con, where we went to the K-pop Social Night podcast convention, we invented a fake drama, and that is going to now be a serialized novel over on the blog that people will be able to vote on certain elements of where it ends up, sort of like a voting choose your own adventure. So that'll be starting either the day that this episode comes out or very soon thereafter as a weekly thing. If you want to become a supporter of this podcast and help keep this podcast going, we are on Ko-fi. You can become a supporter there at ko-fi.com/certifiednunas, where we put up all the outtakes from the episodes and random other things that just, come along just for our special Ko-fi supporters whom we love and appreciate and help keep us going. If you want to find us on social media, we are on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, and of course you can always find us on Twitter, where we basically call our second home. It's always at Certified Nunas, all one word, and we love to hear from you. Anyway, we hope you have a fantastic week. Maybe watch a slightly better Chinese movie than this, and have a grand time. All right, stay safe, wear a mask. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.